Hello, and welcome to another episode of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I'd like to start the video by reminding everyone again that I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, and I am not a medical professional in any way, just a regular person trying to navigate through life and trying to navigate what's going on in here. And it's coming along, but I still have a long way to go. But I have made a lot of, discoveries in my introspection, my self introspection, looking into why I react to certain things in certain ways, and it's helping me. It's helping me to help in my reactions to things now. I am not free from the anxiety or any of that other stuff. It still hits me, but I can kind of understand why I get to that point a little bit better, and it helps me to get out of that point too. So, in this episode, I want to get back to the topic of us as a young couple with very young boys, very young, we were a very young family with our first house. Now, I had mentioned in the last video that I had done a lot of remodeling in the house, and I even fixed up the boys' bedrooms as best as I could. We took the old carpet out of those rooms and I put down laminate flooring, putting the laminate flooring in the kitchen just in case there should be any water damage. It's easy to replace. And that was, the entire thought process on that. It's easier to put that down and some rugs rather than put down carpet again. Well, except for the two big rooms. But anyway, I feel like her mom had a huge sense of traditional roles in a family. And my mom and dad, my parents, I should say, felt like that too. But it was easier for their generations because they had a one-income family. One person could go out and make enough money and the other could stay home and raise the babies. And I feel like a lot of that stuff just kind of influenced my ex. Her mom influenced her quite a bit. And, tasks like cutting the grass or washing the cars. That's man stuff. Taking out the garbage. That's what the man's supposed to do. She was going to cook dinner and I had to wash dishes because she cooked. But it was always this attitude of, these are your jobs. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do it. But it was never appreciated because you're supposed to do it. I would tell her that, hey, I cut the grass today. And she would say, good, you're supposed to do that. She could have just looked outside and said, oh, wow, yeah, it looks nice. Never, not once. Not once. It was always just kind of a snarky remark about, you should be doing that anyway. And it was just like the church people. You give and you give at church, and They don't appreciate any of it because, well, the Bible says you're supposed to do this. So we really don't have to appreciate anything from you because you're supposed to do this. It's expected. And that really just wore on me a lot. But if she decided to go out and cut the grass, maybe she wanted to get a little exercise. She was working in an office, so she didn't really have a lot of physical movement at her work. So when she got home, she was kind of restless. She always went for walks, or sometimes she would just go out and cut the grass. But it was, if she cut the grass, she had a bad attitude about it because, I should have done it. I should have done it. You didn't do it, so I have to do this. This is your fault. And that happened a lot. That happened a lot. And, when I was moving furniture again at this time. And when I would get a day off, I would just want to relax. My body, is sore. I want to relax. But she wouldn't let me relax. It just She would find stuff for me to do. And then once I started doing it, then she would go relax and she would go sit down and watch TV. But she would always make sure that I had something to do, something to work on. And it was that was quite discouraging too, because I want to relax as well, and I just wasn't allowed. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with a little more of This Is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Hello, and welcome back to This Is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I'd like to get back to the topic of, I guess, traditional family values. Now, I'm not totally against traditional family values, but we just weren't a traditional family. We both had to work, with things were different. I I never felt like there was gender to any roles or any tasks that needed to be done. I never felt like that. If I had to do laundry or wash dishes, I did it because it needed to be done. But I was treated like, you're supposed to do this stuff. You're supposed to do that. And you know, I get back to not being allowed to relax. When I had a day off, she would find stuff for me to do. And it reminded me of my childhood. And again, I hate to use this term, but it reminded me of my mom. She wouldn't let me relax. It was always, as soon as I would sit down, she would call me lazy bones. It was always lazy bones. Oh, you're lazy bones. Because I wanted to sit down and relax. They were always shooing us away. Go outside, go do something else. Go downstairs, go away. And that's how I was treated back then. I get older, flash forward, and fast forward, and here it is happening again. And like I mentioned before, the two most important women in my life are treating me like I'm not allowed to relax. So I start to think maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I need to do more. Maybe they'll approve. Maybe they'll be, at least a little impressed if I do more. And I was just putting on clown makeup at that point, trying to do more, sometimes I would just go find something to do in the basement just to get away so I wouldn't have to hear it. So I would just work on something, anything to get away, because I wasn't allowed to sit down and relax for some odd reason. I don't know why. Everybody else gets to relax. My dad got to relax. My father-in-law got to relax. Everybody gets to relax except for me. And it was my time was her time. She decided what I was going to be doing. And the jobs were never appreciated, no matter how well I did, no matter what it was. I replaced all the windows on the front porch with, I replaced the glass with plexiglass. Now, she would get me to start doing it, but then she didn't really care or appreciate it at all. And I was just guilted for wanting to relax. And it was the same thing with money. My money was all the money that I made from working was good enough to pay the bills, but I wasn't good enough to buy fun stuff. I'd buy a t-shirt or a DVD and I'd get scolded for it. Don't you have enough t-shirts? Don't you have enough movies? I don't have these. And what's the big deal? I'm not breaking the bank. I'm not spending $1,000 on clothing. She would get bonuses and go buy herself a Coach purse. I never pressured her to put that money into the savings account. I never pressured her to do that. Whenever I would get tips on the moving jobs, oh, did you put it in the bank? You should put it in the bank. Why? Why can't I have some cash in my pocket? Because she didn't like for me to have cash in my pocket because she didn't know where I was spending it. She wanted that control. And that was just like my dad. He wanted to control. There are people that just want to be in control of everything. And I had my own credit card at one point, and she didn't like it because she couldn't see what I was spending money on. She wanted to know, and she wanted to, monitor it closely. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with some more. This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. This video, or I should say this episode, I'm just touching down on our young family in a new home. Now, I mentioned right before the break that she liked to control things. She wanted to control the money. She wanted to control what I was doing with my time. She wanted to control what everybody was doing. Although the boys, they had their homework, and that was very important to her and to them. And I understand that, but that always was, they had to take care of what they were doing. Not that they were responsible for anything, but still. She wanted to control, at a certain point, she wanted to control what I was watching and what I was listening to. And if she didn't approve, she would let me know. And, I remember making the comment, like, I'm not listening to this or watching this with the boys. And she just would say, well, I don't want you watching it. I don't want you listening to that. After a little while, she started taking some of my DVDs to Goodwill secretly without me knowing. And one day, I noticed a couple of my movies were missing, and went out to the van and found a bag with a bunch of stuff. She would take toys. She would just, if she felt like there was any clutter, she would take everything to Goodwill. But I found a stack of my movies in there. And when I confronted her about it, she just was like, well, I don't want this in the house. I don't want you watching this. And it wasn't anything bad. It was just rated R movies, comedies, movies that she didn't approve of. She wasn't always like that, but once the boys came along, then she wanted to control what was happening because she didn't want them to be influenced by anything weird. She would go to bed and I would want to stay up and watch a movie. She would get mad if the sound would wake her up. So I started watching movies with headphones. She would get mad that I didn't go to bed when she went to bed, and she'd go to bed at like 8:30, and she expected me to go up there just to be there next to her. So I guess she knew where I was or what I was doing. That way we could watch her PBS. She could make sure I wasn't watching something rated R. She could control what we were watching if I was up there with her. And she would always give me a hard time. Always give me a hard time, no matter what I was doing. And if she was upset with something, if she was upset with the boys, if she was upset with any of the pets that we had, if she was upset with the neighbors, if she was upset with her coworkers, if she was upset with her family, she would take it all out on me. She would just take it out on me. She'd come home from work and complain about her coworkers for like a half an hour, and I would listen and I would let her vent. But when you turn the tables and I come home and I start to complain about my workday, she would cut me off immediately and just say, "Well, just leave work at work." So for some reason, I wasn't allowed to express myself if I had concerns or if I just wanted to vent. I wasn't allowed. Leave work at work. She would complain about her mom. And I wouldn't even say anything bad, but sometimes I would agree with her. Yeah, she can be a bit fill in the blank. And as soon as I would say that, I would just be agreeing with her what everything she just said. She would turn on me and, "Well, you don't have to talk about my mom. That's pretty rude that you talk about my mom like that." When I'm just reiterating what she just said. And that was quite discouraging still. I mean, I couldn't even express myself because it was always shut down. If I talked about a movie I liked, or if I talked about, she would, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." And would just like, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to hear it at all. And then, a short time after, she would complain about my parents. She had plenty to say about my parents, and I would let her vent. I'd never cut her off or shut her down. I would listen. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with some more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Hello and welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. This episode is touching down on our house and how just things slowly but steadily deteriorated. It was very slow, but it was just, I look back and I seem to remember being irritated and frustrated more than anything else. I'm not saying it was always like that. We did have some good times. We had plenty of good times. But this is for me to deal with the times that weren't so good. And there was quite a few of those as well. But getting back to my ex and how she wanted to control what was going on with everything. She wanted to control the conversations. She wanted to talk and she wanted me to listen, and that's all she wanted. She didn't want to hear anything from me. She didn't want to consider anything from me. There were times where I'd get upset and I would tell her, or I should say, I would get upset at her because of something she said. And when I would bring it up, I'm like, "That really hurt me. Do you remember when you said this?" And she would just say, "No, and no consideration. She wouldn't even try to think about it, wouldn't even try to remember it, wouldn't even entertain the notion. She just would, "No, I didn't say that. I don't remember that." And then make me feel like I was making things up, make me feel like I was exaggerating, make me feel like I was just being a crybaby. And all the while, I just wanted to keep the peace. I just wanted us all to get along and be happy. I just wanted, so she would get upset and I would try to fix it. She would get upset. I would try to fix it. But when I got upset, she would get upset. Whenever something bothered me, she would get upset. Whenever something was irritating me, or if I brought it up, she would get upset with me every time. And it was, again, just like my childhood, all over again. They would just get upset with me for being upset, but they would never ask me why. They would never talk to me about why. Never. I always had to deal with it by myself. And again, like I said, it seemed like it was a normal thing, but it was only normal because it was just constant for me. It wasn't really normal. My just brain felt like it was. And they just got more and more difficult. Many times we would, excuse me, we would get into an argument and we'd start raising voices. So to avoid saying something stupid or doing something stupid, I would leave. I would just get in my truck and I'd go park somewhere like at the library and just listen to music. I'd go park somewhere and just be quiet and be alone because I couldn't talk to anybody about what was going on. And that's what I would do. But then she would get upset for me. She would get upset with me for leaving. She would get upset with me for not sticking around and talking about it, which her version of talking about it was her talking and me listening, telling me what I did wrong, telling me what I did that caused all the problems. I guess she just expected me to sit and take it, sit and take it. But you're not gonna express any of your own feelings. You're just gonna take it. And I did that for a while, but then, like I said, I could only take so much. I would blow up. I always felt like I was defending myself. I always felt like I had to, like I was in a fight for some reason. I never really got to relax and never really got to get out of survival mode. I was always fighting for my existence, always fighting for something. And I shouldn't have been. I should have been relaxing with everyone else and be happy with what we have. But nobody ever wanted to do that. And nobody wanted to accept me for who I was. They wanted more. They expected more. And they all let me know. And it was frustrating. And it was, it was all I could do to try and keep the peace. But I'm going to conclude this video. And I will get back to this topic with the next one. And I will be back with some more. This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Please like, share, subscribe, and share as much as you can. I need subscribers and I need video watchers, and I would appreciate any help that you guys could do. So again, thank you again, and I will be back very soon with another episode.